人类人生篇前言
Prologue to Humanity and Human Life. Xiafeng. We cannot ignore this reality. Our lives are riddled with holes and on the brink of collapse. Our problems are no longer local, accidental, or temporary. Our very foundation is flawed. The root upon which we all depend has gone awry. We have lost the underpinning of our existence. We have failed to establish the supreme goal of all goals, the ultimate principle of all principles, the loftiest belief from which all beliefs spring, and the definitive standard against which all standards are measured. Without an ultimate purpose, how do we choose a specific path in life? Without the highest principle, how do we establish specific principles and adhere to them unwaveringly? Without the loftiest belief and ultimate benchmark, how do we make judgments? How do we contemplate? How do we act? Without all of this, how can our lives not be characterized as blind, empty, and absurd? When the members of a society share this life attitude, how can society itself remain healthy? Unless we bring about fundamental changes, how can there be hope for this nation? So, it all comes down to one point. We lack genuine faith, which serves as the root of all our wickedness and ailments in today's world. The problems stemming from the moral decline of the Chinese people today, in my view, are even more severe than political and economic issues. When we address the issue of faith today, it is not about adding a superficial layer to our existing lives, but about conducting a comprehensive self-examination of our lives and embarking on a new way of living. In Zhenqiu, the spiritual predicament of our era, a dialogue on the issue of faith.
一、人类的起源
The origin of humanity. Xiafeng. Translated by Zonglong. Where do human beings come from? There have been some sayings. Pangu created the heaven and earth. Nuwa created men using clay. In Chinese mythology, Pangu and Nuwa are the god and goddess who created the world. Prometheus made men out of mud and stole fire from heaven for humans. Ram-headed god Khnum molded men from clay at a potter's wheel, and goddess Hecate breathed life into the new body, and they two together made new lives. God created man using clay according his own image. Celestials came to the earth. Human beings were created by aliens. Humans were evolved gradually from single-cell organisms. However, the most influential sayings are evolutionism and the story of how God created man in Bible. The awkwardness of evolutionism. Xiafeng. Translated by Zonglong. The awkwardness of evolutionism. According to the theory of evolution, humans were evolved from apes, and apes could possibly be evolved from rabbits and rabbis from worms. Worms could be evolved from microbes. Microbes from single-cell organisms, which could possibly come into being by accidents in the sea, the vast organic and fertile soup. Evolution is the result of inheritance, mutation, and natural selection. Evolution is a slow and gradual process. Evolution is in accordance with the natural selection, the law of jungle and survival of the fittest. But is this really the truth? The process of one organism evolves to another organism is a very long process. A rabbit can't evolve to a monkey overnight. One seed, from germination, growth, flowering, fruiting to decline, there is a process. Any step of process could not be skipped. If we take picture of the seed every day, we will be able to see the slow and gradual process of its change. Evolutionism firmly believes that humans are evolved from apes. There must be a slowly changing process and some intermediates. That is to say, from an ape to a man, it should at least have some steps of intermediates. It is impossible that an ape will leap to a man, so where are those intermediates? What are they? In 1924, scientists found fossils which they called Australopithecus africanus, southern ape of Africa, near the famous diamond town, Kimberley, South Africa. Later, they found more Australopithecus boisei. It is also called Eastern African, Australopithecus afrensis, Australopithecus garhi, etc. Particularly, they think Java man was the intermediate between ape and human. Based on these facts, evolutionists self-deceivingly claimed that they had made great achievements. But please don't be too satisfied. Self-entertaining will not bring joys to others. According to the calculation based on molecular biology, it was between 4 and 5 million years ago when men and apes separated, so from 4 million years ago till the time of earliest historical records, how human beings evolved. Were there any processes or intermediates? If not, does that mean evolution stopped at the stage? If yes, please show the evidence. Again, I want to ask evolutionists which animal were apes evolved from. Can you please give us evidences too? How can you prove that the 4 million years old fossils you found are the ancestors of humanity? Just because their shapes look alike? Can you prove that chicken is the ancestor of swan because you found a few chicken bones? At the end of the 20th century, a large number of fossils were discovered in Chengjiang County, Yunnan Province, China. The research showed that today's diverse animals were actually appearing suddenly on the Earth, and it also proved the correctness of theory of Cambrian explosion, which happened 530 million years ago. The theory of Cambrian explosion says that over 90% of animal species were appearing suddenly in a moment, which is less than 1% time of the Earth developing history. It is like mushrooms growing everywhere along ditches and grasslands after an overnight drizzle, which is by no means a slow and gradual process. So do evolutionists still have any far-fetched explanations on this? Let me ask more. The obtuse angle of 3 congruent Ram at the bottom of a beehive is 109 degrees 28 minutes, and the acute angle is 70 degrees 32 minutes, which is the most economic and reasonable structure. So is this wisdom also from evolution? Rooster crowing, chick breaking its eggshell, bird migrating, spider webbing, eel discharging, chameleons changing skin color, weaver bird nestling, silkworm making cocoon, snail making shell, hound tracking, pigeon going home, etc. Do all these wisdom of animals and insects come from evolution? Let's make the conclusion by quoting the wisdom of Darwin, the originator of the theory of evolution. If it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous, successive, slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. The birth of Lifechanuan has proved evolution theory has absolutely broken down. Evolutionism cannot prove the origin of humanity. Human beings were not evolved from animals at all. So what about the sayings in Bible? Please read The Origin of Humanity too. The Awkwardness of Bible. Xiefeng. Translated by Zonglong. There were records about the origin of humanity in the Genesis of Bible. (1:26) And God said, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." 1:27 So God created man in his own image, in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. 1:28 And God blessed them, and God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. 1:29 And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. 1:30 And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to every thing that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. 131 And God saw everything that he had made, and, behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. 2.7 And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. 2.18 And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an help meet for him. 2.21 And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. 2.22 And the rib, which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. 3.20 And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. So is this how humans come into being? Let's still have a look of what Bible says. For 1 And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. For 2 And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. For 3 And in process of time it came to pass, that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. For 4 And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. For 5 But unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. For 6 And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? For 7 If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. For 8 And Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. For 9 And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? For 10 And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. For 11 And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. For 12 When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. For 13 And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. For 14 Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass, that every one that findeth me shall slay me. For 15 And the Lord said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. For 16 And Cain went out from the presence of the Lord, and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. So, we have a question on the above records. Adam and Eve are the ancestors of humans. Cain and Abel are the first two sons of Adam and Eve. At that time, there should not be anybody else exist on the earth except Adam's family. So why Cain was worrying, everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Who were going to find him? If what Bible recorded is true, there must be some other men exist except Adam's family, and they must had long existed before Adam's family. Otherwise, Cain would not say, Every one that findeth me shall slay me. So if there lived other humans, and they were not descendants of Adam and Eve back then, Adam and Eve only had two sons and Abel was killed by Cain, we can say Adam and Eve are not the ancestors of all human beings, and what Bible recorded is only the story of origin of Israelite people. Bible only recorded the origin of the Middle East people, and not that of all human beings. So where do human beings come from? Please read The Origin of Humanity 3. The Prelude, Xiefeng. Translated by Zhong Long. translated by 松 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 We have known how the universe and the greatest creator came into being. I have proven the existence of the greatest creator in the chapters of The Greatest Creator using 40 natural phenomena and 8 logical reasonings. But what did the greatest creator do after his birth? Wuji generates Taiji. Taiji generates 2 complementary forces. These 2 forces are unity of opposites. That is to say, after Taiji, the creator, was born, division of energy started to happen within Wuji. Where the energy is low, it comes into forms. Therefore, the celestial bodies of universe began to emerge one by one, space started to expand infinitely. Where the energy is high, things exist with no form, just like the black holes in the universe, they are invisible. When some celestial bodies first appeared, their movement were random and disordered. There were no solar system, Milky Way system, nor Lorotary Galaxy system and Rotary River Galaxy system. To ensure everything run in order, the greatest creator needs someone to take care of the universe. It is like a person borrowed a large sum of money from bank in order to establish a big business. He need to recruit some people to take the responsibilities of purchasing, manufacturing, production, internal management, and sales, etc. Same. The greatest creator also need someone to help him finish the project of creating the universe. Then how did he manage the universe? He started to make gods. What is God? God is the helper of the greatest creator. Then how did the greatest creator make God? We know that the greatest creator is the energy core and nerve center of the universe. He used his almighty consciousness generating powerful energy to squeeze some regional energy, which then became many independent energy groups. The center of these groups formed a special structure. After the structure was strengthened with the power of the energy, a consciousness was born. These consciousness entities are gods. The process is similar as making bricks in kilns. We use loosened soil, added with appropriate chemicals, put them into kilns to calcine. After this process, the loosened soil become hard bricks. If we put the soil and chemicals in a vessel that can't be destroyed by any powerful energy, and then calcine them using very high energy, the soil mixed with chemicals will form a special structure and will further produce consciousness. A new life will be born. How many gods has the greatest creator made? Many. Each god has his own independent consciousness, but their energy level is far lower than that of the greatest creator. Therefore, gods have to obey the greatest creator. What is the energy level of a god? It depends on the size of the energy ball used to create that particular god. Some gods have very high energy, some have very small energy. However, even the god with the smallest energy is more powerful than any one of the visible celestial bodies. The energy of sun is very high, but the total energy of the sun is less than that of the least powerful god. The black holes all over the universe we know are actually gods. When the greatest creator finished making gods, he ordered them to form universes. For example, the universe where the earth lives is encharged by many gods, black holes. Among them, the 2 biggest gods are Jesus and Satan, that is to say, Earth universe are managed by Jesus and Satan. Earth universe includes 3,000 rotary river systems, 9 million Milky Way systems, 27 billions of solar system. Jesus and Satan are 2 opposite gods, but they are unity. Jesus stands for the sincere, kind, and beautiful. Satan stands for the false, evil, and ugly. Jesus stands for light, Satan stands for dark. Jesus stands for the ordinary, Satan stands for the extraordinary. Jesus stands for the weak, Satan stands for the strong. When gods were created, the universe was still not vibrant enough, it was quiet and deserted, and gods felt bored and lonely. Therefore, they asked the greatest creator to create more lives to make the universe noisy and vital. He agreed and then created many new lives using smaller energy balls. These new lives are the angels, which are so called in Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism, and Islam. Angels are the lives whose energy level is lower than God's, and they are managed and dominated by God. They are also the messengers and helpers of God. They assist gods to manage everything in their own universe. Angels have their own characters, they can move freely in any time and space. The appearance of angels made the universe very lively and vibrant. The universe can be described as orioles sing and swallows dart, bustling with noise and excitement. But the problem after that is because Jesus and Satan stand for two opposite sides, they are evenly matched but have contrasting views, which eventually led angels divide into two parties. One follows the viewpoint of Jesus, the other follows Satan. The former is just the Buddha we always know from Buddhism, the latter is the celestial described in Chinese Taoism. Buddha is angle. In Chinese word, Buddha is Fo, Fu stands for not, Dan stands for human. So Buddha means a human who is not human. They actually have supernatural power and are able to appear in any forms. They can create life, move mountains, and turn over the sea. They can change the visible to invisible, the invisible to visible. They can survive in a vacuum and move freely in many spaces without the constraints of time. The headquarter of Buddha is what we call paradise, which is also the Elysium I mentioned in 36-dimensional spaces. Celestial is also angel. From the structure of Chinese wordshan, we can reason that they are a group of human who like to travel around, enjoy nature, and love fun. They have the same level of power and ability as what Buddha have. However, although Buddha look peaceful, they are arrogant and always want to excel over others, while celestials are gentle, pure, fun-loving, behaving the same as what they look like. To know more about how human beings were created, please read The Origin of Humanity 4. Celestials creating human. Xiefeng. Translated by Zonglong. In order to demonstrate its power, under the permission of the greatest creator, 4.5 billion years ago, Jesus led hundreds of million celestials start the project of creating solar system. They first created the Earth, then the Sun and other planets in the solar system. They made very careful calculation and design on the size, position, rotary speed of the Sun and the Earth. After that, Jesus sent near 100 million celestials come to the Earth with the identity of intelligent beings. They started large scale of creation on the Earth. The water, air, and most green vegetation and grazing animals are the creations of those celestials. Microbes were self-created as the result of water and photosynthesis. This process, from beginning to the end, lasted for nearly 2.3 billion years. Before animals were created, there was no moon. When the first group of animals were created, celestials found that if they left Earth, animals could not survive without ebb and flow, wind, cloud, rain, and snow. Therefore, they built two big smelters at places not far from where is now Cairo, Egypt, and the Atlantis. It is now located at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, and made many airships, UFO, using the special smelted metals, and sent the animals they created to everywhere on the Earth. At the meantime, they used these airships to transport smelted metals to a space station. They then created a huge hollow ball with a rough surface, silver and reflecting. This huge ball is the moon we refer to today. 1 billion years ago, the night on the Earth was very bright. Later, because the dust from universe continuously dropped on the moon, it was no longer as bright as before. The UFOs we occasionally saw are not from outer space, they are from the center of the moon, which is a huge warehouse. It stores many tools which had been used by celestials. UFO is also one of the tools. There is a door on the moon. It can be opened at any time. There is a giant palace under the mysterious Bermuda Triangle. That is the temporary lodge for the visiting celestials. Celestials can remotely control UFOs in the warehouse of the moon to monitor the Earth according to their needs. The Earth of 200 million years ago was very beautiful and prosperous. The place where Sahara Desert currently is located had many green mountains and a dense growth of green trees. Birds were twittering, flowers were blossoming. It was once the most beautiful places for green plants and animals. Celestials used to love singing, dancing, and playing on the Earth, and they were so enjoying it and almost forgot their home. Unfortunately, the happy scene didn't last long. The happiness of celestials provoked the anger of Satan. In order to show that he had superior power, he sent another group of Buddhas to the Earth 250 million years ago, and started to create flies, mosquitoes, bugs, rats, scorpions, centipedes, snakes, and predators in large scale to let these animals fight with the creations of celestials. Moreover, they even appeared in the form of dinosaur, destroyed the plants and animals all over the world out of jealousy. This inharmonious situation made the greatest creator very sad. At about 130 million years ago, he destroyed all dinosaurs by applying one kind of plague and put all their souls in the prison of the cathode black hole. Unfortunately, there were a pair of smart dinosaurs hid under the bottom of East China Sea and were able to survive. They kept dormant underwater for nearly 100 million years. In about 1,600,000 years ago, in order not to let the Earth become idle, the greatest creator designed a life structure himself, which is the draft version of current humans. He then gave the design paper to Jesus and led him to implement. The helpers of Jesus, celestials, started to make new lives according to this design. In order to receive the energy of the greatest creator sending from the universe, also to accumulate energy for creating this special new life and speed up the process, they built many laboratories in the place where now is Egypt. These laboratories are exactly the well-known pyramids of Egypt. Because of the lack of experience and some steps were missed, the first lives they made were monkeys, and then after were apes. Of course, this wouldn't please the greatest creator, so they continued testing and making. The first group of human they successfully made are the black men in Africa, and the second group are native Indians in America. The third are the white men in Europe, Egypt, and North Africa. When they finished producing 3 groups of human, they started to evacuate, and in order to avoid Satan creating difficulties again, they destroyed everything around the pyramids before they left, which is also why Sahara is a desert today. But where do most people in Middle East come from except Egyptian? They are the descendants of Adam and Eve, as what says in Bible, they were created by another God. This God knew that his rival started to create humans on earth. He created a secret Garden of Eden in about 7,000 years ago at Jerusalem and made Adam and Eve. After they were created, he destroyed the Eden to avoid the attention of his rival. This is why Cain was afraid that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Who was he afraid of? The humans created by another God. This is why his God still protected him, even Cain killed his brother. Whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. So today's conflicts between Israelite and Palestinian are actually the conflicts between brothers and our family affairs. And let's now talk about East Asian and Southeast Asian. They were not created by any god at all, they were the embodiments of dinosaur. At about 7,500 years ago, when the pair of dinosaur knew that celestials created human on the earth, they sneaked from the sea and changed into human form, started to propagate along the Yellow River, and the descendants gradually spread all over Asia. One of the groups went upwards, crossed the Pamirs to India. They want to mingle with the descendants of Adam and Eve to avoid the punishment of the greatest creator again. This is why Chinese people always say, China is the hometown of dragon, and Chinese are the descendants of dragon. This is also why Buddhism originated from India, but blossomed in East Asia and Southeast Asia. Why it didn't become popular in India. The ancestors of Sakyamuni went to India from Yellow River. When they arrived at India, they found that their consciousness was not compatible with that of the descendants of Adam and Eve, and had to find new home. Because in their subconsciousness there's a very deep call that is to go home. Which home? The Elysium before they came to earth. Sakyamuni found he came from Elysium after his enlightenment. Although he had a blurry picture of his home, he still remembered something. Once this subconsciousness was awakened, he decided to be engaged in the cause of preaching to other descendants, and shifted the focus to the east led by of his subconsciousness. That's also why Bodhidharma came to China to preach Buddhism. Because Indian people were designed by a different creator, they were reluctant to accept the theory of Buddhism because of the absence of the memory in their subconsciousness. That's also why, although Buddhists had made great efforts, it still failed in India. However, in East and Southeast Asia, people had the instinct sense of the existence of other dimensional spaces. It is quite easy for them to resonate with the theory of Buddhism. Once they accept it, it is rooted and lingers in their mind. The state, vague and intangible, which Taoism pursues, and the Elysium world Buddhism pursues are something rooted in the subconsciousness of the yellow race. They feel and believe the existence of the space that is hard to explain. In fact, the space where the yellow race yearning for is the place where the dinosaur had lived in 10,000-year world and Elysium world. Therefore, even after 10 million years, the message is still embedded in the genetic structure of the yellow men. East and Southeast Asian tend to cultivate Buddha and Celestial. It is driven by their inner voice. Although some people accept the theory of Bible, it is not an acceptance out of their heart, but a rational act. People of other races are very easy to believe in God, but quite reluctant to accept Buddhism and Taoism. Some people might believe in Buddhism and Taoism, but it is just a blind pursuit of mysterious phenomena. They are impossible to reach the state of resonance of soul. Then, what is the truth of the Great Flood in Noah's time? First, I want to explain something. Before the Great Flood, human beings had been through extinction already. The humans created 16 million years ago were very strong and tall. They were cruel and very aggressive. They maltreated animals and were very greedy. They didn't even respect the greatest creator, not to mention gods and Buddhas. The city of Maya, ancient Egypt, and Atlantis were their activity centers. They had the power of God, Buddha, and Celestial, but were lack of their virtue. They always went to 10,000-year world and Elysium world to make troubles, and did whatever they wanted to do, which had become a big threat to the order of the universe. Finally, the greatest creator had to order some gods destroy the city of Maya, ancient Egypt, and Atlantis in one night, only left some weak and less intelligent humans on the earth to continue the propagation of the human species. In order to comfort these men, the greatest creator created another planet which is even more beautiful, 960 light years from the earth. It is the 1,000-year world. The greatest creator told these people, if they behave well and don't make trouble, they would be able to go to 1,000-year world to enjoy happier life after death. However, these humans started to forget the warning when the population grew to large numbers and its civilization advanced. They began to ignore the greatest creator and thought he was nothing special. At about 4,700 years ago, humans on the earth thought that they were able to manage the earth themselves without the help of the greatest creator and gods. They ignored their teachings and insisted their own will. Their pursuit of physical and material comfort far exceeded the pursuit of spiritual growth, which had caused moral degeneracy and the advancement of brute. It strongly destroyed the harmonious atmosphere of the earth. Moreover, the two gods managing the earth had different ethics, thus fought with each other, which made the greatest creator so angry that he turned around the earth's dip angle. Huge storms poured down. It lasted for 40 days and nights and drowned most humans and animals. The evil act of humans were then curbed. But after the Great Flood, Noah's family were not the only men survived. There were survivors all over the world. This can be verified in many Chinese historical records. The story of Diyu flood control is a hard fact. There is also detailed narration in the legends of the Indian tribe Mandan, North Dakota, America. This is the outline of the origin of human beings.
2. 人类的意义
The purpose of humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Zonglong. Is the purpose of humanity only for survival? Are humans the most intellectual animals in the universe? Does the existence or the disappearance of humankind have any influence on the universe? We know from the chapter The Greatest Creator that there is purpose for any life beings in the universe. Nothing exists for no purpose. Solar system and everything included are to serve humanity, while humanity is to serve the greatest creator, and indirectly to serve gods. The greatest creator created the universe, gods, Buddhas, and celestials. God sent celestials to create humans under the authorization of the greatest creator. Therefore, the meaning of humanity is to live for its creator, gods, and the greatest creator. The greatest creator created numerous gods assist him manage the universe to ensure it is running in order. God is the assemblage of high energy. God only has godhood, but doesn't have playful and naughty character. They can't bring joy to the greatest creator. So, the greatest creator created many angels, celestials, and Buddhas, Let them travel freely in the universe to brighten up the atmosphere of the universe. Although celestials and Buddhas were created by the greatest creator, they are on a lower energy level and are dominated and influenced by the God in its respective universe. The celestials coming to Earth 250 million years ago and the Buddhas coming to Earth 200 million years ago were the result of the influence. There are three origins for the human on Earth. The black men in Africa, American Indian, Egyptian, white men in North Africa and Europe were made by one God. Israelite, Palestinian, Iranian, Afghans, Iraqi, Turk, Syrian, Jordanian, Lebanese, Saudi Arabian, and most Indian were created by another God. Chinese, Mongolian, Japanese, Korean, and the people in Southeast Asia are the descendants of dinosaur. No matter where we come from, we are equal in the sight of the greatest creator, but in the sight of gods, there is big difference. The antagonism among gods is reflected evidently on humans. We can see that from rivalries among Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, and Buddhism. The people of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are originally from the same source, however, because the Israelite can't get along with their fellow, and instead made good friends with the people from other origins, which had caused their God to create Islam. Muhammad created Islam based on the revelation of his God in opposition to the Israelite and other people. The Israelites should stand together with Muslims, but they betrayed their God and went to join the men created by another God. In the end, they were not only not accepted but also persecuted by those men, while their brothers, Muslims, refused to accept them either. This is the root cause why the Israelite were persecuted in World War II and still fight with Palestinian till today. The ideology of Buddhism is completely different from that of Christianity and Islam. To survive, Christianity and Islam have to compete. However, Buddhism advocates not fighting. Even die without descendants to leave this world of disputes and go back home to enjoy free life. The reason why Japanese disturbed Asia in World War II, even fought with USA, is not the problem of Buddhas, but the punishment by God to Buddhas. We know that East and Southeast Asian are the offspring of dinosaur, dragon. They are the embodiments of Buddha. They used to be the followers of God Satan. But because of that great plague, they realized that no matter which god they follow, they could be faced another calamity one day. So the best choice for them is to self-cultivate and go back to the Elysium world. This thought and behavior had provoked the discontentment of their God, so he punished the descendants of dinosaur at the same time he punished the Israelite. Moreover, Taoism, a category of Buddhism pursuing only skill, not way, emerged in the process of propagation of Buddhism. Taoism is a school of religion which looks peaceful from the surface. Close the door for the world outside and form its own system. But deep inside, Taoists are very competitive. When they are at a weak position, they pretend to be humble, but when opportunity comes, they will stand out to show off their power. Japanese Shintoism also has the similar character. Human beings on Earth come from three completely different origins, and the ideological polarity was a historical issue. However, this was not what the greatest creator wanted to see. Jesus came down in form of human body with a mission given by the greatest creator. He was born in the Satan-made Israelite. When he criticized the Pharisees and religious leaders by showing his miraculous power, he also taught people to love each other and said all nations should be united. He asked people put their hope on the greatest creator and make the earth a paradise as the greatest creator wishes, the kingdom of the greatest creator. St. Paul is a very good example transformed by Jesus' teaching. Today, all people around the world gradually come to surrender to Jesus. They are in fact walking on the way guided by Jesus. Now we know that the purpose of humanity is to serve the greatest creator. We are not alone in the universe, except human beings. There are angels, celestials, and Buddhas, and there are gods above angels and the greatest creator above gods. Humanity have been through hardships since its birth. Today's world is not an easy gain. We need to be grateful to the greatest creator and live in accordance with the teachings of gods. Any arrogant behavior will lead to more sufferings and even the destruction of human beings.
3. 人类的作用
The role of humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Zonglong. The greatest creator loves humans because we were designed by him. Among all life beings, celestials are his most favorite, and the next is human. Therefore, we have three responsibilities: to please the greatest creator, to maintain unity of opposites of the God world. Gods are also the children of the greatest creator. There is no good or bad God. Each God has its own role to play. It is up to the greatest creator to judge their merits and demerits. To build and beautify earth. Building and beautifying earth is the responsibility and the indispensable obligation of humanity. Maintaining ecological balance, purifying air, rivers and land are the jobs must be shouldered by humans. We must not shirk our responsibilities just because we are taken care by the greatest creator. It is just like kids must learn to be independent and help themselves. They must know rely on the parents for everything.
4. 人类的过去和现在。
The past of humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Zonglong. The past of humanity is a history of sufferings, a history of fights and conflicts. The past of humanity is a history of bewilderment, a history of manifestation of animal instincts. The past of humanity is a history of selfishness, a history of survival of the fittest. The past of humanity is a history of chaos, a history of giants competing for powers, religions competing for position. The past of humanity is a history of wickedness, a history that is not worthy of remembering and emulation. The current situation of human being. Although there are regional extremes, humanity in general has been away from barbarism and ignorance, and on its way to be more rational. While in some places there are still superstitious forces, but scientific developments have made the majority realize that superstition is the source of barbarism and ignorance, and the vital cause of social turbulence. There were some major superstitions. Fanatical belief in religion. They think the religion they believe is the only right one, and others are evil. However, in fact, each religion has its own blindness and a side of suppression of human nature. Fanatical belief in any religion is the result of an emotional choice, not rational. As long as religions exist, the light of human nature is not able to shine, and humanity is not able to get out of barbarism and ignorance, and war is unavoidable. The suffering of humanity will not be possible to end. Frantic worship of the great. Every country has its own great men and its own founding heroes. They made immoral achievements in elimination of old forces. They are worthy to be respected. But if they are worshipped as God and the Savior, a vicious cycle will begin to form, and humans will be dragging into another round of suffering. It is all right to worship a great man, but if it is over a limit, it becomes a mania. Mania is a mental illness, and it is also a new form of barbaric ignorance which will inevitably lead to destruction and repression of human nature. Blindly follow a theory or academic conclusion. The development of things is progressing in a form of wave. Any theory or academic conclusion is a symbol of development from the perspective of current time and space. However, they are not perfect and are not able to cover the comprehensive contents and its extended meanings. They are not the ultimate truth. If we follow them blindly, our thoughts will be bound, and therefore new thoughts and theories are not able to emerge. We will hardly see the situation of 100 of flowers blossom, 100 of schools of thought contend, which will eventually lead to the twist of human nature and stop the progress of human civilization. Nationalism. Needless to say, each nation has its unique advantages, just like different fruits and melons having their own taste and degree of sweetness. If watermelon and peach think they are the best and all other fruits are useless, a monomode will be taking shape. This is an extremely overbearing behavior. National pride and sense of superiority is evil, not the manifestation of one's divinity at all. The stronger the feeling, the more discrimination and barriers it will cause among nations. As a result, human nature starts to fall. Nationalism is another form of superstition. Worship of masters. There are some extraordinary and distinctive people in the history of each nation. We call them master, because they have a unique viewpoint, foresight, wisdom, or possess a unique quality. It is quite reasonable we respect and call them master, but if we worship them, it becomes an infectious virus, a superstition. We see the magnificence of the universe from many twinkling stars in the sky. A nation is great if talents come out in succession. Any master is like a shining star of that time. If we regard him as a sun and keep on revolving around him, the brilliancy of other stars will be covered, and the nation will not have a successor. Blind faith and following seek after extraordinary. A man can only be a man as long as he has a human DNA. Body, he can't be God or something else. We can't deny that life beings in other time and space could be reincarnated to human world. That is because they are bestowed by the greatest creator's special abilities, wisdom, and mission, which is something embodied in their DNA. These abilities and wisdom are far beyond any ordinary person can reach. As one of general public, we can only follow natural law and don't need to seek after extraordinary. If a potato wants to become a tomato, a red date wants to become a walnut, it is not only unnecessary, but also impossible. We will be on the way of devil if we are determined to possess supernatural power. For example, in the last 2 decades, the popularity of one after another gong exercise is a form of superstition and has wasted time, energy, and talents of many wise men who fall into a mud of self-anesthetizing and self-deceiving and can't get out from it, eventually lose their way. Worship of gods and ghosts, communicating with spirit world. This is a fundamental superstition. As far as human beings are concerned, there are only 2 gods, Jesus and Satan, and no other gods. If there are more, they are made up by men. Humans are not eligible to title someone as God and then worship him. This is a typical superstition. As for ghosts, as long as we show no interest, they will not bother. It is not necessary to ask God to drive away ghosts. Advertising ghosts in movies, books, or verbal communication is a historical retrogression and a wicked act incompatible with modern civilization. The sayings and behaviors of communicating with spirit world are destructing human nature. They are also negation of human beings. Spirit world does exist, but not for current human beings to communicate with. The man who can really communicate with spirit world must be a man with perfect human nature. Otherwise, the communication is not authentic or it goes astray. Other superstitions. There are a variety of other numberless superstitions, which are the trash descending from human history. If I criticize them here one by one, many people would not accept it emotionally. However, these superstitions will surely be out of sight and disappear as science and human civilization develops. The past of humanity is a time ruled by religion and superstition. The present of humanity is a time of science combined with religion and superstition. The future of humanity will be a time of science and religion mixing together under the light of ration.
5. 人类目前面临的危机
The current crises faced by humanity. Xiafeng. Translated by Zonglong. The crises faced by humanity has been long-standing. There had been warnings in Bible, Quran, and the Book of Earth Mother of Buddhism. In recent 20 years, many scientists, ideologists, and spiritual leaders have all sensed the crises faced by humanity are getting more and more serious. They can be summarized as follows. Water resource shortages and pollution, food shortages, rapid population growth, air pollution, widespread of strong virus, leakage of nuclear facilities, desertification, endangered species, ecological imbalance, greenhouse effect, ozone depletion, competition of nuclear weapons, etc. There are also some people have foreseen the culture crisis, ethic crisis, and belief crisis. All the above crises are only the crises on surface and they are not the core crisis. The core crisis faced by humanity is the crisis of the soul. All the above crises result from the crisis of the soul. If we only focus on the superficial but ignore the core, it is impossible to resolve them. The crises will become even more severe, which would end up with humanity extinction and earth destruction. Only very few enlightened people can sense some other crises like race extinction and religious virus. Others, like the crisis of disappearance of a city in one night and a beam of wave causing the death of billions of people in a few minutes, will definitely not be understood and conceived by ordinary people. The core crisis of humanity is the crisis of the soul. Humans can hear, listen, smell, taste, and sense spiritually because they have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and consciousness. However, humans are losing spiritual sense. The results of failing to have spiritual sense are not able to feel the existence of the greatest creator, not able to feel the existence of the God, Buddha, or celestials, not able to feel the existence of 36-dimensional spaces, not able to feel the existence of the non-material and negative universe, do not understand the concept of horizontal time, too much trust on scientific findings, and atheism becomes popular. Do not believe the law of cause and effect. Do not realize the magic of consciousness. Do not believe reincarnation. Self-centered and arrogant? If a man loses the spiritual sense, he loses spirituality. And as a result, he will not be able to have a perfect human nature. His thoughts are prisoned in three-dimensional space. Does not acknowledge the regularity and certainties. Does not believe the law of cause and effect. Does not believe reincarnation. Believe the theory of evolution, law of jungle, and survival of the fittest. Only value short-term interests and ignore long-term consequences. Rotten morals and falling humanity. Lack of gratitude? A man who loses spiritual sense will be just like a black hole, only absorb stuff in but never contribute. Moreover, he is like a virus which only does destruction to the surrounding environment. The above statements have shown that the core crisis of human being is the crisis of soul, and it is the root cause of why one cannot have a happy and free life. His thoughts are prisoned in three-dimensional space. He believes that Earth is the only habitat for human beings and completely denies the existence of other spaces, and regards any other doctrines or theories he is not able to understand as superstitions or fallacies, and blocks the way for human beings to pursue other higher dimensional spaces. Does not acknowledge the regularity and certainties. He sees many phenomena as accidents and doesn't realize that all natural disasters are caused by ill consciousness. Does not believe the law of cause and effect. He attaches too much weight on win and loss, uses any means to achieve the goal, and ignores the effects that will cause in later lifetimes. Does not believe reincarnation. He thinks that death is the end of life, so does anything as she pleases without conscience, and regards fame, wealth, and power as the symbols of a successful life. Apply the theory of evolution in human society. Believe law of jungle, survival of the fittest. He stops nothing to achieve his goal, which may include making miseries to other people, polluting rivers, bullying the kind, lying and deceiving. Only value short-term interests and ignore long-term consequences. Use competition as primary means to promote social development, therefore, making nuclear and biological weapons, frantically developing heavy industries that damage environment, predatory exploitation of resources, and treating all people as potential rivals or enemies. Rotten morals and falling humanity. He does not respect God, Buddha, saints and sages, and does not respect his teacher, father, and brother. He is violent, used to cheat, and not shameful of his behaviors. Lying, bullying the weak, abusing women, killing people, he does all evils. Just like what described in the ancient Chinese book Tractate of the Most High One on Actions and Consequences, Tai Sangan Yingpan. The crimes of the wicked. Sometimes there is someone who behaves without righteousness and moves against rationality, who defrauds ignorant and naive people, vilifies one's schoolmates, employs lies, fraud, espionage, plots, sting operations, and entrapment against others, who slanders and criticizes one's extended and immediate family members maliciously, who is cruel, irrational, and self-willed, who oppresses those below him and claims their merit for himself, but cringes before those above him to win their favor, who has no feeling for favors received, but harbors endless resentment, who rewards those irrelevant with righteousness, but punishes the innocent, who slays people to take their wealth, and overthrows people to occupy their positions, who slays captives and slaughters those who surrender, who denigrates the righteous and expels the wise, who wrongs orphans and coerces widows, who ignores the law and receives bribes, who takes the straight as crooked and the crooked as straight, who knowing his faults does not correct them, and knowing the good does not do it, who prays for people's misfortunes, wishes people to encounter disaster, destroys people's success, sullies people's innocence, pilfers people's harvests, masks people's good and kind deeds, and who generate hatred and resentment if desires are not fulfilled, etc. A moral person with spirituality knows he should revere the greatest creator and walk on the way of the greatest creators, and is aware of his weakness as a human, so he will not be arrogant. He realizes he should cultivate himself, and knows he needs to take care of, cherish, respect, and love Mother Nature, its resources, and all life beings. He will never leave the wastewater of factories, mines, hospitals, and cities to rivers, streams, and lands. He will never hunt and eat the meat of wild animals. He will never destroy forests, mountains, and grasslands. He will never indulge in power, money, beauty, and let his greed expand, not even use any means to satisfy his evil desires. He will never use his power to serve his own or his family's interests, nor bully or suppress others. He will never sell fake or shoddy goods. He will never steal other person's research findings to gain fame for himself. He will never make life-threatening nuclear weapons and biological weapons. He will never provoke conflicts among people to profit from it. He will never suppress any new ideas, new cultures, or new values. Lack of gratitude. In his heart, there is no place for the greatest creator, gods, parents, elders, the society, other people. He only demands and is not willing to give. Even a plant bears fruits as long as we water and fertilize it. A chicken produces eggs as long as we feed it. A dog will be a good safeguard of our home as long as it has been taken good care. A man who loses spiritual sense will be just like a black hole, only absorb stuff in but never contribute. Moreover, he is like a virus which only does destruction to the surrounding environment. The above statements have shown that the core crisis of human being is the crisis of soul, and it is the root cause of why one cannot have a happy and free life. If we look Earth from a height of 1,000 meters and focus on the cities of the world, we will find the survival situation of human beings is just like a group of ants on a hot pot, running around hastily. You don't know where these ants are going to. They just follow their senses with no purposes. They move quickly all together once they spot an animal corpse or a drop of oil. They follow where the trend is. If you ask one of the ants, "Why are you so busy every day? Where do you rush for?" his answer will be, "I'm looking for something to eat, drink, and a place to live. As for where to go, I will go wherever I can find food, drinks, and a place to live." The secular world is just like an animal world. Some people stand themselves out, But where do they go after they get out? They go to religions. All religions, whether it is good or evil, they are made of people who have spiritual pursuit. A real disciple of any religion is superior, in spiritual aspect, to any kings or great men. So we can say all people in secular world are sleeping and people in religion are awake. The formers do not have spiritual direction as the latters do. However, with the development of science and the growth of human wisdom, many people in religion start to confuse and are not able to tell the direction. Many disciples are like gamblers. They stake all their energy and wisdom on the religion they belong to. Although they know that they can't win back what they have lost, they want to keep gambling. They even want to persuade others to gamble with them to feel psychologically balanced. Just like the fox that has lost his frozen tail on the ice, he has lost the tail, he has been laughed at and